I'd like to welcome you all to Hope Unitarian Church. It's wonderful to see you all today. I'm the Reverend Justin M. McCreary, and I'm excited that you're here with us this morning. If you're new to Unitarian Universalism, one of the things I always like to say is that we are covenantal, we are not creedal. This means something very simple and can be summed up with the words attributed to Francis David. You need not think alike to love alike. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of shared values. Being rooted in love, we believe that all human beings should be treated with dignity and respect. On this hill, we seek hope, love, and justice together in community. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, in whatever your life circumstances, you are welcome here. I invite you at this time to rise for our hymn of gathering. It is our tradition in Hope Unitarian Church to light a chalice at the beginning of each service, and we say these words. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together. You may be seated. The invocation this morning is called Thresholds by Arlen Golf. In this hour and in this place, we cross a threshold from our day-to-day, everydayness, into space and time attuned to the other, to the sacred, to the holy, into the awareness of new life pregnant with possibilities. How will we be renewed in this moment? How will we be changed by this hour? How will we be transformed through this gathering of the beloved community? Come, ye longing, thirsty souls, come. And if you are willing, please read our covenant together with us this morning. Love is the spirit of this church, in service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And I would invite you at this time to rise as we sing hymn number 6.
With
Seated.
Hello, I'm Anita Ward, and a longtime member of this wonderful church, and I want to make some announcements today. First, I want to thank everyone that was involved with Feed the Homeless. A wonderful bunch showed up. We didn't have Linda to do the cooking. She always does the cooking, but these ladies back there, they pitched in and got it done, and it was delicious. There's a children and youth religious education survey, and the site can be reached in your highlights, or see me to show you the link. And I couldn't get my thing to download just now, so but we'll find it for you. Concerning action, on June 28th, there is a Mayor of Tulsa accountability session at, did I say June? We're in July, and I just can't believe that. Okay, July 28th. There's a Mayor of Tulsa accountability session at 3 p.m. at Trinity Episcopal at 501 South Cincinnati. And we've gotten a good number of you to sign up. And so, 27. How many? 27. So that's good for our size church. So let's be there at 3 p.m. Women of Hope is going to be at the church on August the 1st. We didn't have a home to do it in this time, so it's going to be up here at the church. The first banned books that will be discussed at the adult forum is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I've ordered it. I haven't read it yet, but I've heard it's going to be really good, and I'm sure we'll find all kinds of reasons that it should not be banned. Next Sunday's adult forum, I just can't say enough about Charlie Dugan. He's Larry Vandiver's good friend, and he's done several forums for us, and he just speaks off the cuff about, the subject matter that he's talking about. He was a teacher in his, professional life. But this one's going to be on the Supreme Court, kind of the history of the Supreme Court. So I really recommend that next Sunday you come to the 10 o'clock adult forum. There also is going to be an ice cream social, and because I couldn't get the download to work this morning, I can't tell you the date. But it's in... Yeah, it's in the 18th. Thank you. So August 18th, an ice cream social, and you can't go wrong with ice cream, right? And it's a good way to socialize eating ice cream. There's a sign-up list out in the fellowship hall on the long table for bringing cookies. We've not had enough sign-ups for that, so please sign up. And I have been given the message that some people have heard that there are people that would like to help with what we call the long table duties for Feed the Homeless. The long table duty, someone's in the kitchen cooking the casseroles and doing the slaw. The people at the long table are rolling a fork and a napkin, cutting up the oranges, and separating the bananas and buttering the rolls. So if you are one of those people that would like to help with that, please see me. Thank you. Is this yours? Oh, yes.
This meditation comes from Lynn Cox. It is called A Prayer of Co-Creation. Creative Spirit, source of life and love, we give thanks for the beauty of this day and for the company of those assembled here. Thank you for the breezes of change clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and isms that divide us. Thank you for the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. Thank you for the oceans of love, the rivers of connection, tears of relief, and pools of serenity. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. Thank you for the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. Thank you for all these and more. We accept our gifts and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing them to life, to abundant life. So be it. Blessed be, and amen.
Two things before I do a reading. I failed to mention that after the ice cream social, there is game night if you want to stay and play games. And the second thing is, I used the term feed the homeless thinking everyone knows what that is, but I bet not everyone does, particularly new people. So I wanted to explain that every third Saturday of the month, our church is responsible for serving the meal to the Day Center for the Homeless. So that's what that is. Now for the reading. The Guest House by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Thank you.
Come
There's an ancient Sufi story about a stream. And I found this version on Quest magazine. A stream from its course in the far-off mountains, passing through every kind and description of countryside, at last reached the sands of the desert. Just as it had crossed every other barrier, the stream tried to cross this one, but found that as fast as it ran into the sands, its waters disappeared. The stream objected that the wind could fly, and this was why it could cross the desert. It was convinced, however, that its destiny was to cross this desert, and yet there was no way. Now a hidden voice coming from the desert itself whispered, "The wind crosses the desert, and so can the stream." The stream objected that the wind could fly, and this was why it could cross the desert. By hurtling in your own accustomed way, you cannot get across. You will either disappear or become a marsh. You must allow the wind to carry you to your destination. But how could this happen? By allowing yourself to be absorbed by the wind. This idea was not acceptable to the stream. After all, it had never been absorbed before. It did not want to lose its individuality, and once having lost it, how was one to know that one's identity could ever be regained? "The wind," said the sand, "performs this function. It takes up water, carries it over the desert, then lets it fall again." How can I know that this is true? It is so. If you do not believe it, you cannot become more than a quagmire. But can I not remain the same stream that I am today? You cannot. In either case, remain so, the whisper said. When it heard this, echoes began to arise in thoughts of the stream. Dimly it remembered a state in which it, or at least some part of it, had been held once in the arms of the wind. And the stream raised its vapor into the welcoming arms of the wind, which gently and easily bore it upwards and along, letting it fall softly as rain once they reached the roof of a mountain, many, many miles away, where it had then become a river. If I were to tell the story to children, I would ask the question, what's the moral of the story? And then I would hope that one of them would say something like, though change is scary, it is important. Then I would ask the kids, have you ever been in a situation where you had to change and you were scared to do so? This final question is a very important one, and though I'm not looking for immediate feedback, I want to just take a minute and let you think. Think of a time when you were confronted with a change that was scary. Oh, as adults, we don't like to think of things as scary. I mean, as adults, aren't we supposed to have it all figured out? Aren't we supposed to be strong and powerful? Even though all the self-help literature reminds us that we don't have it figured out and that we won't have it figured out. But change comes whether we like it or not, and it's a neutral force. The natural inclination of the world is that we move towards entropy, that we drift towards chaos. But change can shift us toward entropy or help us to thrive in order. Change fuels the future. There have been times in my life where I thought I wish this moment would last forever. But given the nature of the world, that moment passed and I became new and changed. There are moments that I loved that I would trade for the world, but the thing I learned is that in this life, that the only way to really appreciate that moment is to let it go, let it drift away into the ether. Let entropy take that moment so that it can return to the primordial chaos that is life, and I can once again draw on that energy to create something new. As I reflect on those moments that have passed on, I have to admit to myself that I can never have those moments again, because I am no longer the person I was when I had those moments. Isn't it odd that we can look back at some of the most difficult times in our life, the most volatile and the scariest moments of our life, and come to miss them? Seriously, because even in our moments of upheaval, joy is often peppered through. And often we come through that moment when we embrace the upheaval of our lives. We are confronted with change that makes us better and can be embraced. And we call this change transformation. And I think of the reading that we had today. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Rumi begins with a simple metaphor. He says that being human is a guest house. And though he says guest house, it reminds me more of a vacation home. I've never had a guest house. Personally, I'd prefer being a house that I owned. Maybe a mansion, maybe something smaller, but still something that's mine, not something used for guests. Because if I'm in a guest house, it means that I'm always in flux. You don't get regular tenants in a guest house. They're always different, and they're not always careful to take care of the house because they don't own the house. As human beings, we are a guest house. We are the place that others come to trample the carpet, to track mud, to eat the food, and then complain that we're out of Pringles. And we ask, who is staying at this guest house? A Joy? Sounds great. Come on in, Joy. Joy will take care of the house. A depression? Nah. You sound like you're going to wear out your welcome pretty quick. A meanness? No, thank you. You are the kind of person that puts a hole in the drywall and then blames the guest house. Or some momentary awareness. That sounds vague. That could be anyone. They might even choose to bring their pet cat to my guest house, and you know how cats are with change. And he goes on. And he says, welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. And if you think for just a moment that I am going to welcome and entertain them all in this guest house, you've got another thing coming. If a crowd of sorrows violently sweeps my house empty of furniture, welcome is not how I'm going to feel, and I am not inclined to treat this guest honorably. But Rumi is being counterintuitive, and he tells us why we should treat these guests honorably. He says, because they're clearing you out for a new delight. It is this new delight that takes root in our heart and helps us grow hope even when it feels hopeless. So that even when he tells us of other unwanted guests, we can respond and think the dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them all at the door laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. See, that's the crux of the matter, isn't it? It's the important part. It's the part of the poem that reminds us that without fear we cannot have hope. Without dark thoughts, shame, and malice, we cannot have their opposites because we wouldn't know what they are. these feelings, these things, these guests are the agents of change. It reminds me of the Bible passage that encourages us to be kind to everyone because we don't know that if we are entertaining angels. Because these feelings from joy to sorrow are guides from beyond about something new. Alfred North Whitehead was a mathematician, philosopher, and theologian. It's a good group, or a good mix of stuff. And he would go on to point out that the world is always in flux, and that what we think of as substantive is just process. That all substances in the world and the universe are just temporary. The only true objective thing in this universe is process. And all of reality is composed of a series of events, not a series of things. UUs in this context would say that we have a responsibility to co-create a beloved community. And even when everything is in flux, it still bends, that arc still bends towards justice. This past June, the UUA passed a new values statement with 7 values. They're listed on your order of service on the front cover, and today's value for this sermon is transformation. This is what they say of transformation. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritage. Never complete and never perfect. Or we are never complete. We are never perfect. I want to take a moment and look at those words, never complete and never perfect. This is a major difference in Unitarian Universalism and many other faiths, especially other Christian faiths. I grew up in the faith where revelation was said to be sealed in the pages of Scripture. Revelation was sealed between the leather ends of the books of the Bible. But in Unitarian Universalism, revelation is not sealed. We took a different path. We choose the path of the open door to revelation. James Luther Adams actually referred to revelation as unsealed, and when speaking of justice, talked about the role of the prophet. We have this image of the prophet, the man who lives in the wilderness, a hermit, someone who stands on the street corners, preaches downfall. But in reality, a prophet is something much more simple, yet something more complicated. It is a role that we all can take. A prophet is someone who can look at the world and understand change. They can figure out where we're going and what will happen if we continue down a certain path. This means many climate scientists can be considered prophets. Prophets look at an ever-changing world and try to map the path forward. Someone like Unitarian minister Theodore Parker, when he said, "You see a continual and progressive triumph of the right. I do not pretend to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eye reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divide it by conscience, or I can divine it by conscience, but from what I see, I am sure that it bends towards justice." I asked you to come up with a scary memory when we started this service. Now that you have it, I want you to think, did change come from that scary memory? And it may not have. Not every scary memory is an important memory or a powerful or a change agent. But think of a moment in your life when everything changed. Think of the upheaval. Think of the difficulty. Think of the change. Think of whatever it is that came through your guest house and decided to upend all your furniture, to eat all your Pringles, and to leave the cat running around the house. What is it that comes into our guest house and asks us to change? Sometimes it's the joy, and sometimes it's the sorrow. Just like the river had to transform before it could be carried by the wind, we must transform. And we will whether we like it or not. I am now who I am so that I can become more later. The question is, will we use our transformation towards the betterment of ourselves and the others? And as we go forward and as we go forth through this day and we think about transformation and we think about the role of change in the world, in the role of change that is coming, and we think about each other, this church, this community, how can we be agents of change in this community in a positive way? How can we help this community as prophets go forward? How can we speak truth to power so that marginalized peoples are able to find something better in life? How do we make change better? Because we're going to change one way or the other. But the role of the prophet requires us to look at that change and to demand something better. Thank you. Our generosity recipient for the month of July is the Dennis R. Nell Equality Center, or Neal, I'm sorry. Equality Center at Oklahomans for Equality. Unitarian Universalist churches are welcoming churches. We are welcoming to anyone who finds their home and finds peace here. The Equality Center is one of those things that is important for us. So I would ask that you give. If you'd like to give to the generosity recipient, feel free to write generosity in the check line or just donate cash. If you would like to pay your pledge at this time, just write your check or just signify with an envelope what the cash is going towards. But I ask you to give with the hope that we can create beneficial change for the world. Let's give thanks. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves at fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community. I would invite you to rise for our final hymn. That's hymn number 1017 in your teal hymnal. I invite you to rise and body your spirit as you feel so called. Thank you. I love that song. I've never heard that song. That's fun. We'll sing that more. As we extinguish our chalice today, we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fires of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. As we go forth, remember, if we are a guest house, and all the things that come and stay with us are opportunities for us to be more, to be better, and to be best. Thank you.